Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Red on Air. Today we'll be covering off everything to do about the Compact, how we build them, what they're made of and which one is right for you. We'll also be looking a little bit about safety and we'll also be finding about who Alice is. Hello and yes, welcome to Red HQ. It's great to have you here again for another episode of Red on Air. As I mentioned there at the start, we're going to be going into great detail about the Compact boards, which boards are the right size, what material it's made out of, how we make them. And we'll also be, of course, looking a little bit at safety, which is our favourite subject, making sure we're keeping everyone as safe as possible out on the water. But first of all, let's find out who Alice is. Hi, Alice.
Hi there.
So Alice is the newest member of our customer experience team, and maybe you want to give us a little bit of an intro.
Yeah, definitely. So I come from a water sports background, mostly in windsurfing, sailing, and quite a bit of paddleboarding actually. So it's really good to be here after quite a lot of years on the boards. I'm now here.
Brilliant, great. Well, just so everyone gets to know you a little bit more, we're going to ask you some probing questions,
Okay.
some quick fire questions.
Okay.
So we get the cut of your jib, work out who you are. So here we go. Favourite colour?
Blue.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Red wine or white wine?
Ooh, white wine.
Pasta or pizza?
Definitely pasta.
River or ocean?
Hard one, but ocean.
Okay, and here's one for the winter. Snowboarding or skiing?
Snowboarding, but don't hate me.
Well, we all wish we could be out there in the snow probably this time of year, but not this year, but
No.
maybe in the future. All right, brilliant. So let's get on to talk about the Compact board, which we'll find out in a minute. Alice has been paddling a little bit before she started with us, but yeah, the Compact board is made possible using our MSL packed technology. And yesterday, Stu, our videographer, caught up with me in the design studio and to run you through the ins and outs of that Compact MSL material. And yes, as you'll notice, I do have a wardrobe full of check shirts. Here at Red Paddle Co, we've got two different types of construction. One is MSL and one is MSL packed. MSL packed is what we use on the Compact boards, and I'll just talk you through the main differences here. Inside the board you have this drop stitch layout of threads where the top of the board is connected to the bottom of the board using these threads. And this is the same whether it's MSL or MSL packed. The real magic for MSL packed happens on the outside. And it's all down to two major points. One is the coating and two is the stringers. So the coating is a different material and it's applied in a different way to allow the board to fold up in the middle. That's helped by what we call a living hinge, where we separate the stringers and the deck pad either side of the center line. But the coating is key to allowing that to happen. The second point is the stringers. And these stringers, these are basically strips of material on the top, but also importantly also on the bottom. You have to have them on both sides. And they are very similar to a slack line. So if you know what a slack line is, basically a big long webbing strap that you put between two trees or two posts. You put loads of tension on them and you can actually walk across it like a tightrope. And that's really what you've got here with these stringers. They're multiple layers, as I say, top and bottom. And the board is basically inside this connection. So it's creating a bit of an exoskeleton or a framework that the board pumps up on the inside. So you're filling that space with the, if you like, the bladder of the board, the main part of the board, and it connects inside this framework. We put these stringers on at very special and specific pressures, so it stops any kind of stretch in the board at all. As you pump the board up, these become engaged and under tension, and that's what gives you the rigidity in the board. Another part of the performance of a Compact board is our Tech Air building process, and I'll just quickly run you through that. So this is a standard single layer fusion paddleboard. Tends to be what the rest of the market is using. You can probably see this has got 5 psi of pressure, and you can see it's not formed very well. The board needs to stretch, the air needs to fill the board and stretch the board to give it its shape. So it doesn't feel very good shape. It's quite squashy, obviously. It's very thin material, and if you try and stand on it, it bends. To pump this up to full pressure, you would see this board grow in shape. And depending on the pressure inside and the heat of the day, depends actually what that shape looks like. So from day to day, you almost get a different outcome. What we use for MSL and MSL Pact is the Tech Air build process, which is part of how we put it together on the edges, on the rails, also the coating and the way we put the coating on. This board also has 5 psi of pressure in it, but it looks completely inflated. It's still pretty bendy, but the fact is it's not the air that's shaping this. It is the build structure, the construction of the board that's giving it its shape. All the air is doing is giving you rigidity. So rather than the air having to stretch the board and form the shape, as well as give you stiffness, on a red board, whether that's a compact board or a normal red board, the air is just giving you stiffness. The shape and the durability of the board is inbuilt into the rails for our Tech Air process. Hope that's useful, and we'll go back downstairs.
So it's really interesting to see how much design actually goes into the board. I was really intrigued in seeing that. And also how you likened it to a slackline.
Yeah, I mean, as I sent it in the video there, it is almost exactly like a slackline, and those stringers are so important to the whole performance of the compact. Obviously, helps it fold, but also it keeps that tension and stiffness. And if we don't put them on at the correct pressures, which has taken quite a lot of time to work out what those are, you just don't get the full effect. And yeah, it's really the essence of the compact board.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to go over to Alex now, who's going to take you through the two boards that we've got in Compact, which are the 9.6 and the 11. And he's going to take you through all the details of the boards and also which one would suit you best for your ride.
So a question we frequently get asked here at Red HQ is how do you go about choosing a compact, or why would you choose a compact board over any of the boards in the range? Now, if you're anything like me and you're confined in the space in the boot of your car, then the compact is a really great choice. I'm forever trying to put a board into my car and then finding there's no space for the dog and he ends up sitting on my lap or the passenger seat when we're traveling. So those of you that are confined to space, or perhaps you just want a board that's lighter and more transportable, you might be walking down to the beach, or just more of a petite rider that needs something that's a little bit more functional for you to carry to and from the water's edge. The compacts are a great choice. So we've got two of them to look at in the range. Now, first, the 11 foot. You can see it's got a really nice long drawn out shape, and that means the board is going to glide and cut through the water really nicely. This makes it really good for long distance paddling. So those of you who are either looking to move more effectively and efficiently, or just looking for some longer journeys that you can really be efficient in the way that you paddle, the 11 foot is going to be an awesome choice for you. Now, it's nice and stable at 32 inches wide, so it's really good stable width. Now, if you compare that to our 11 foot Sport, which is similar in profile, it's actually, this is 30 inches in width, but they're very similar in profile. So those of you who are looking for a touring board and have come across the 11 foot Sport, but actually think, I need something like that, but just a little bit more compact, a little bit more transportable, it doesn't take up quite as much room when it's stored, and it's lightweight to carry, then the 11 foot Sport is going to be a totally awesome choice for you. Now, our other compact board we have is our 9.6 compact. Now, this is a great all-round board. 32 inches in width, so again, it's really nice and stable, but you can see it's got this nice rounded nose and tail. What that means is that when you're putting in turning strokes, when you're paddling, it's going to respond really nicely for it. So for me personally, this is a great board for me to be using at the beach because I can explore any hidden coves and things. It really responds nicely to the turning strokes that I put in. That consequently means that it's really good at surfing as well. So if there's ever a bit of surf or chop at the beach, it's great fun to have a play around with it because it's really maneuverable because of the tail and shape. Now, so those of you who are looking to develop your surfing skills in an all-round board that is transportable and doesn't take up much room, the 9.6 compact, definitely the choice for you. Now, you can see that it's similar in profile to our 9.8 Ride. The 9.8 Ride uses our rocker stiffening system, so our battens. It's got a slightly more of a pinched tail, so it's still very maneuverable. So those of you that have been looking at 9.8 Ride, great all-round board, but again, need that transportability. You need something that packs down so you're not taking up the dog space in the car, then the 9.6 compact is definitely going to be an awesome choice for you. So guys, that is some tips on how to go about choosing a compact board and why you would do so. We're going to head back over to John now, who's going to be answering your questions.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Alex. It's great insight there. And we're going to hit a couple of questions that have come in. We'll just do 2 or 3 now, and then we'll get the rest of your questions at the end of the show. So we've got, let's do 2. So there we go. Okay, Richard. Richard wants to know, thanks for the question, Richard. Can you keep the board inflated, or do you need to inflate every time you're using it?
Yeah, so absolutely. You can keep the board inflated. If you've got the storage, that's absolutely fine. Or deflate it. It's completely up to you. As long as you've got good storage and you can keep it inflated, that's great. More rides.
Cool. Rachel says, can you drive it with it on the roof? I think she means on the roof of the car. Can you put it on the roof rack? I mean, yeah, absolutely you can, Rachel. As always, putting anything on the top of your car, you need to get some good roof racks, some good quality brands out there, great good quality roof rack straps. And I think, like anything on a roof of your car, don't leave it there for long periods of time. Don't want to cook it in the sun, and make sure the board's fully inflated. It just travels much better when it's fully inflated. So absolutely no problems to put it on the roof. Just do it for the journey and take it off once you've got there. So cool. All right. Let's. There are a few more questions there, but let's keep those until the end. Right. Well, just before you start with us, Alice, we thought we'd get you up for a bit of a challenge, see if you were up for it. So we lent Alice a 9.6 compact to go down the local river here in South Devon, here in the UK, and we set her on a bit of a mission, and then we shoved her in front of the camera, and we asked her to tell us all about it. So here's what we found out.
Over the last 2 weeks, I've been lucky enough to go out on the 9.6 compact. It's been a really great board to go and explore on, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my experience on the board. So when I was first given the board, I noticed how compact it is in its case. It's really easy to pop on your back. It's got a great strap that goes around you, and also you can pop it in the back of your car for any adventure. When you open it up, everything's got its own section in the bag, so it's really easy to store. And also when you're opening it, it's got instructions of basically how to put everything together. It's super easy. So I decided with its compact size to take it on a little bit of an adventure. My car's quite small, so it popped in the back nice and easily, and I decided to plan an adventure from Atherton Gifford all the way down to Bantham, and actually then to walk with it on my back all the way back. So when I got to the spot, I unravelled the board, pumped it up and got onto the water. One of the first things I noticed was how stable the board was, and actually how it reacted with the outgoing tide. It was pretty fantastic in the fact that I pretty much stood there because it was quite a rushing tide, and the board tracked really nicely, showing that those two fins at the back of the board are pretty straight, which is a really great feature of the compact. As I was paddling, I was able to get into all of those great little spots down the river. Atherton Gifford has some great little inlet bays that you can go into and you can explore. When I got to Bantham, I was really pretty tired after a big paddle. It was about a 6 to 7k paddle, and I basically got back up onto the beach and decided to pack away the board. Now, I thought this might take a little bit longer, but actually it was really quick and easy. I just undid the valve, all the air came out, and I rolled it up thinking it might take me a couple of times, but actually once in the bag, zipped it up, and I was ready to go. Super easy, super simple, just on the green at Bantham. So when I was ready to walk back, I popped the bag on my back, did the straps up, and then you can actually tighten them up around your waist for comfort. I was ready for my 7k walk back, quite hilly, so quite undulating all the way back. And actually, I'm only 5 foot, and it fits pretty nicely, as you can see. It's quite a comfortable bag to have on your back. There's a whole paddleboard in there, and actually it's not that heavy at all. So it was a really enjoyable walk back to the car. When I started walking, I noticed that weight distribution was evenly around my body. The waist strap is super well supported, and the shoulder straps are really nicely padded, so you're really comfortable during the whole walk. So my overall experience of the 9.6 compact is that it's fantastic. It's super lightweight, it's really easy to paddle, and it's actually a really great ride. It allowed me to plan an adventure that I'd never usually be able to go on, with a long paddle and a really long walk at the end. So I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to go on it again.
Well, if you don't make it as a customer experience representative here at Red, I think you've got a future as a TV presenter doing outside broadcasts.
Maybe.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. Actually, it's interesting that you went on the Avon there, on the River Avon from Atherton Gifford down to Bantham, because actually that's where I did a lot of the early paddleboarding, and one day I did paddle down that river, completely screwed up the whole weather tides thing, and I was on a hardboard, on a 12'6", I think it was, glass fibre board, and had to sort of hike out of the valley with a big board, so it's kind of come full circle there.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have been able to do that with a hard board. It was definitely much better with a backpack.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the whole kind of weather thing of back then, you kind of I'll just go paddleboarding and not really think about it, but increasingly as I've got more into it, realised that actually you do need to pay a little bit more attention to the weather and the tides, which is, yeah, hopefully everyone realises that now, but then it was a bit sort of gung-ho probably into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, we've got James, who went down to the beach to talk a little bit more on safety and the aspects of safety that you really need to look into before going out onto the water.
Hello everyone, let's talk a bit of SUP safety. Before you ever go paddling, wherever you're going, it's really important to check your local weather forecasts and tide forecast. Otherwise, you might get to your paddle location and it could look a bit like this, which is no fun for paddling and it's not safe. So some key things to look at in your weather and your tide forecasts is you're looking to avoid strong offshore winds. If the wind's over 10-12 miles an hour, it's probably not going to be that much fun and quite dangerous. And if it looks anything like this, you don't want to go anywhere near it. The other thing to consider is making sure you've got the right safety equipment with you. First and foremost is the correct leash. You can have a coiled leash for calm water conditions, a flat leash like this one for surf, or if you're in moving water, a quick release waist belt leash. On top of that, you want to have an extra means of flotation. So if you do come separated from your board, you've still got something to keep you afloat. A waist belt PFD like this from Red Original is a really, really good bit of kit and keeps you nice and safe. Finally, you need to have a means to call for help if you do get into trouble, and having something like a waterproof phone case means you can have that means of calling for help nice and accessible. If it's stuffed down the bottom of a big bag with lots of kit in it, you're not going to be able to get to it when you need it, so it's not going to be as helpful. The main thing is there, check your weather forecast, take the right bits of kit with you, and make sure you have fun and stay safe. Happy paddling.
Some really good information there from James on how to stay safe at the beach.
It's amazing actually that those conditions can change. That's actually my local beach. I live just literally up the road from that beach, and on any given day it can be a beautiful sunny beach, looks so idyllic to go paddleboarding, and then the next day it looks like that. Yeah. And we send James down the beach to get soaking wet. But I think that as we move towards the season now, I kind of really feel like it's everyone here's responsibility, and when I say everyone, I mean you guys as well as us, to really try to kind of promote this safety side of paddleboarding. It's so important. It means that we can all continue to enjoy the sport without legislation and issues. And I think one of the key points there that James mentions is offshore winds. And I know what it's like. We do it. We work all week. We're looking towards the weekend to go out for a paddle, and you focus on getting there on Saturday morning to go for a paddle, and you turn up and it looks like that.
Yeah.
And at least I think probably maybe if it looks like that, you maybe don't want to go out because it is looking pretty gnarly. It's cold, it's windy, there's waves breaking on the beach, and probably the worst thing that can happen is you're not actually going to get out of the water. You're going to get pushed back by the waves and the shore break on the beach, and your pride's going to be dented. Probably the more dangerous are those offshore winds.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it's really sunny, super flat, and you think it's the best time to go out, but you really have to look at the forecast and make sure that it's not that offshore wind, because it can be quite deceptive, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, so an offshore wind, for those who don't know, is the wind that's blowing from the beach out to sea. So it's blowing you away from the shore. And so often, by the beach, by the water's edge, particularly if you've got cliffs behind you, it looks calm. It is calm. There's no wind. But as you paddle 10, 20, 30, 40 metres further out, it really starts to pick up, and as anyone's tried to paddle against a strong headwind, it's quite difficult. So, yeah, for sure, those offshore winds are one best to be avoided. All right, so let's get back to the compact boards. We've got a few questions coming through. We'll try and get through a few now. We don't want to be here all night. I mean, we could be here all night, happily sit here all night and talk to you guys and answer your questions, but we'll keep it short and sweet. If we don't get around to answering your question here on the live, we will put it in the comment section. And if you're watching this as a re-watching this later on, and it's not live, please just send us an email. Go to the website, go to the Contact Us page, or just send us an email, team@redpaddleco.com, and Alice and the team will be more than happy to answer your questions. Not just on compact, anything you want. Right, okay, here we go. Let's get this working. So, questions coming in. Let's choose the right Facebook page. Okay, so Tony's asking, is it hard to roll up? It's harder to roll up on the board on cold days. Any tips? Yeah, hi Tony, thanks for the question. Yeah, it is, you're right. When the boards are obviously a material, and when it's cold, that material can become more rigid. It's less pliable. We'd all love to be paddleboarding, I'm sure, in nice warm conditions, and it's much easier to roll the boards up when it's hot. But it's unfortunately just part of one of those things. When it's cold, the boards are harder to roll up. But I did actually see this question asked, I think earlier the week, on the Red Paddle Co board owners group, which good plug here for that group. If you're not a member of it, jump onto Facebook and search for Red Paddle Co board owners. We don't run that page actually, it's nothing to do with us, it's our customer or the customers, it's you guys out there who run it and administer it. We get involved and answer some questions on it. But I saw the question about this on there this week, and actually somebody, and I don't remember who it was, sorry, suggests actually having some hot water, potentially pouring it down the board and trying to make the board a bit more flexible before we roll it up. I haven't actually tried that, but could be a good option, it could work. So yeah, definitely warmer weather is easier to roll the boards up, that's a given. All right, okay, switch to the other Facebook page. Okay, so Claire wants to know, can you get replacement fins?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got a spares website, which you can visit and grab some fins. They are actually FCF systems, so if you've got that a system like that, you can use it on the boards. But we do specialise, and we've got them on the spares website, so you can order them from us, which is
red-spares.com.
red-spares.com. And so, yeah, just give us an email and we can also give you a hand on what fin system your board has. Obviously with the compact it's got that one, and yeah, we can give you some information on it.
Yeah, I mean, what we've always tried to do at Red is not create our own fin systems. We're trying to find the universal systems that will work. So if you are on holiday somewhere and you lose a fin, so not just the compact boards like you say, but if you're on like a Voyager board or the sport board, they use a US fin box, for example, so you can go to your local school or SUP store or surf store, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to have a US box fin, and it's the same for the compact. As you say, the SCS fin is easily sourced if you need to, if you can't get hold of the compact fin. Hopefully you don't lose it, but it's a good question, Claire. Right, here we go. Peter, weight of the boards. Good question, Peter. The 9.6 is 7.7 kilograms approximately, board only, and the 11-foot is another kilo on top of that. But all packed up, the 11-foot board's about 13 kilos, and the 9.6 is about just under 12 when you've got everything in the bag ready to go. So quite a lot lighter board only than a standard Red board. I think part of that was to help with that transportability. There's definitely a point where the board can be too light, and we've really tried to get that right so that it's not so light that it gets blown around too much and it's hard to control in swell or chop. Yeah, a lot lighter than a normal Red board. That's kind of what you're getting with that compact package. All right, see what we've got here. Chris wants to know, how long does it take to pump up? I'm not sure which board you mean, Chris, but the 11-foot board I could pump up, if I'm going for it, if I'm really energetic, when I get on the water, I could probably do 5 minutes. If I'm taking it a bit slow, 6-7 minutes. I don't know, Alice, for you on the 9.6, how long did it take you to pump it up?
Well, the 9.6 probably took me on the day, maybe the same, maybe about 4.5 minutes. I'm maybe not as strong as you or experienced with a pump.
Not as competitive, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Think, just looking at the time, probably we'll stop the questions there. If there's any more that we haven't answered there, we'll get back to you on those later on. Just check if we do have anything. Okay, here's one. Other than being more compact, is there any other reason you would choose the compact over a regular board? And that's from Quen. Good question. I think it comes down to what you want to use the board for. So if you are limited on storage, so maybe you have a small car, your motorbike, push bike, or you want to keep it on your boat, then for sure the compact is so good for that. You know, it just fits into those much smaller spaces. It is lighter, as I just mentioned, so it's much more transportable. But if you've got plenty of storage space, you've got a decent sized car that you're going to chuck it in the back of or on the roof, then no, actually there is no major benefit, I suppose, from having the compact board over, let's say, a ride or a sport board. So it is a little bit your choice, really. I think is whatever you think works best for you. But again, what we're always trying to produce with Red Paddle Co boards is that they're non-compromised, they're authentic, they feel great. So just because the board folds in half and packs down to half the size doesn't mean it gives you a worse experience. It's the same experience. That's what we're trying to aim for. Everything should feel fantastic and like it's the best product that you're on. So it's really choosing if you've got that space or not. Entirely up to you. They are a little bit more expensive, combat boards, so that might be something that sways your decision. Combat Board kind of is if you like, our creme de la creme. A lot of the features on that filter back down into the rest of the range. Hence, things like the twin fin system has been now incorporated into the ride range. So it is the kind of top of the top. It's where the innovation comes in now a lot of the time for us. All right, I think we'll stop it there. I'm just checking on the time. Yeah, okay. Let's pause the questions there. We will answer your questions in the comments. If you put them in there, or if you've got one later on, please send it to us on email. We'll be happy to answer it. So that's it from us for this week's episode. But tune in a couple of weeks' time when we'll be going through the Head of the Dart challenge, which some of you, if you've watched a couple of live sessions back, we mentioned about our local paddleboard event that started 12, 13 years ago with us, has gone. It's getting bigger and bigger every year, but this year, thanks to COVID, it's going global and it's a virtual paddle race. So we'll hopefully have we definitely have more information. We might hopefully have a special guest explaining a little bit more about that event. What else have we got coming up?
Oh, we'll also have the Red Shorts, which are bite-sized informational videos that you can watch to get tips on anything paddleboard related.
Brilliant. And of course, we'll be talking a little bit more about safety as we get towards the season. It's our favourite subject, but we've got a great campaign coming out in April, which we'd love you guys to get behind and really help push that message on. Nothing technical, nothing complicated, really short, sharp campaign that we hope will resonate with everybody and help pass it on. So tune in for that. That'll be in a couple of weeks' time on Wednesday. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in for this week's Red On Air, and we'll see you soon on the next one. Thank you very much.
See you later.